Good morning, students. Welcome to Measure Integration live lectures. Yesterday, we have seen about algebra and sigma algebra of sets. We'll see some more properties of our special sigma algebra in this lecture. Okay. So, if we recall what is meant by sigma algebra, can somebody quickly tell what is meant by sigma algebra? When we say a non-empty collection is said to be a sigma algebra if it is closed under complementation and
Union of two sets.
countable union.
Com-
Okay, so
Union.
whenever A is in that collection, then its complement should also be there in that collection. Okay, then second one, if AIs are here, then union of AIs. Okay, this should
Okay.
also belongs to you, right?
Algebra.
And we have seen some of the properties. Now you can see that it is not only countable union, so we can have a remark. It is also if AIs are in sigma field, sigma algebra. See, many times you can call it this as a sigma field also. Sigma field or sigma algebra both are same. Okay, so whenever I say sigma field, don't think that it is different one. Okay, you can, if necessary, you can write here. It is also called as sigma field. Okay. Fine. So if AIs are in sigma algebra, then the countable intersection is also in the sigma algebra. Can you see why this proof? How many of you can see the proof of this statement? If AIs are there, then intersection. Hmm? Last class we have proved if A and B are there, then A intersection B is there. So similar technique also we can use it here. Why this is true? Hmm? Quickly, how one can say that arbitrary intersection is here? Hmm? Fast. How one can see that this arbitrary intersection is also there in sigma algebra? Using countable union and complements, how one can prove it? Countable intersection is also there. Hmm?
Yes, sir.
Using De Morgan laws, what you can do is this union of AI complements, then
Yes.
whole complement. This is nothing but what? Intersection of AI, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So therefore, because this belongs here, so it also belongs here, right? Okay. So sigma algebra is closed under countable union as well as countable intersection, right? Okay, fine. And then yesterday we also seen what is meant by sigma algebra generated by some set or smallest sigma algebra. Smallest sigma algebra containing that set, that collection, call it C, that we denoted by sigma C. And how we have defined this sigma C? Hmm? This is because it is smallest, it is intersection of all sigma algebras, okay, containing that collection C. So this is a sigma algebra. Is that clear?
Yes.
And we have seen some of the properties of sigma algebra, the smallest sigma algebra. One is that obviously C is always contained in sigma C. Okay. Then we have shown that if this C is a sigma algebra, then the sigma C is same as C itself. You don't get any bigger algebra. Okay. Sigma algebra. And we also seen that sigma of sigma C is sigma C. Okay. And the fourth one, which we can also, the easy one, is that if suppose collection C1 is contained in collection C2, then what can you say about sigma of C1 and sigma of C2? If C1 is contained in C2, then what can you say about sigma C1 is also contained in sigma of C2?
C.
Why? Can somebody say why this is true? A quick proof. Hmm? How can we say that sigma of C1 is contained in sigma of C2? Hmm? How you can understand sigma of C? This is the smallest sigma algebra containing C, right? This is what meaning of saying that sigma C. Okay, so sigma C2 is what? It is the smallest sigma algebra containing C2. Okay, right? And what is sigma C1?
Yes.
This is the smallest sigma algebra containing C1. Okay, so if we want to show that this is
Yes.
contained here, what we want to show? Huh? So this says that if at all you have any A, if at all, what is meant by saying smallest? If A is any sigma algebra, okay, containing C, then what is the relation between this A and sigma C? If A is any sigma algebra containing this C, then what is the relation between A and sigma C? Huh? Because of that intersection, what is the relation between A and sigma C, which is contained in the other? Huh? What is sigma C? It is the smallest sigma algebra containing C. So if we have any sigma algebra containing C, then what is the relation between this A and sigma C? Sigma C is contained in A or not? Hmm?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Because
sir.
sigma C is intersection of all such things, right? Okay. So if at all we want to show this one, sigma C1 is contained in sigma C2, it is enough to show what? Sigma C2 contains C1. If I say that sigma C2, because it is already a sigma algebra, if we make sure that sigma C2 contains C1, then obviously sigma C1 is contained in sigma C2. Huh?
Yes, sir.
So question is C1 contained in sigma C2? Is the question. Is C1 contained in sigma C2? Hmm? What about
Yes, sir.
others?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Why C1 is contained in sigma
Yes,
C2?
sir.
Why? Hmm? Why C1 is contained in
Because
sigma
sigma
C2?
C1 is equal to C1.
Huh?
Sigma C1 is equal to C1.
Sigma C1 equal to C1?
Yes, sir.
No. Can anybody say why this is true?
Sigma C1 is a subset of sigma C2.
No, that you have to prove it. This you have to prove. The statement is that
Sigma
if, then we want to prove this. Huh?
Sigma C contain A.
Sorry? Why this is true? Hmm?
Sigma C1 is the smallest.
No, but sigma C1 is smallest. Why? First, tell me why this is true. Is this true? How you say that C1 is contained in sigma C2? Huh? What is given to us? C1 is contained in C2. So from that, can you prove this one? C1 is contained in C2. So from this, can you see that C1 is contained in sigma C2? Correct? This is simple. Hmm? C1 is contained in C2. So from this, can you say that C1 is contained in sigma C2? What is the relation between C2 and
Sigma,
sigma C2? Huh?
sigma C1 is
C2?
contained in sigma C2.
Huh? What is the relation
C2
between?
containing sigma C2.
Very good.
C1 containing sigma 2. C1 contain in C2,
Yes.
but C2 contain in sigma C2.
Very good. Excellent. So C1 is contained in C2, but we know that C2 is always contained in its that sigma field generated by that, right? That shows that C1 is contained in sigma C2. Okay. So therefore what we have here is C1 is contained in sigma of C2. So from this, can somebody tell that sigma of C1 is also contained in sigma of C2? Huh? From this step, how this is true? Hmm? Just now we have discussed about that only, right? This is a sigma algebra. So it is a sigma algebra or not? Sigma algebra containing C1,
C.
right? And what we know about sigma of C1? That is also sigma algebra containing C1, but it is the smallest sigma algebra, right? So therefore, sigma of C1 is contained in sigma of C2.
Sigma of C2.
Okay. So whenever C1 is contained in C2, then their generated sigma fields also have that contained, right? Okay. Now we will see when we have this, what is meant by notion of, so you have a sequence of sets, right? Sequence of sets, call it AN. Okay, that is A1, A2, A3 and so on. Okay. Now, just like you have a sequence of real numbers, so you can talk about what is meant by limit, whether limit exists or not and so on. Okay. So here also we can talk about what is meant by notion of limit of this sequence AN. Okay. Right. How we'll define is the following. So we'll try to do it in case 1. Suppose AN, the sequence AN is increasing. What is meant by saying a sequence is increasing? That means A1 is contained in A2, A2 is contained in A3 and so on. Right? Okay. AN, then it contained in and so on. Then somehow we want to talk about where this will, where all this as n tending to infinity, where all these elements of these sets belongs to. Okay. So can you see what is union of a k? K is from 1 to n. What is this value? Can somebody tell? In this increasing sequence, if you take, because a1 is contained in a2, so if you take their union, what you will get? Hmm? Because we are trying to see that after some stage all these elements of this set where they belongs to. Okay, then that is something like limit. So what is union of a k? K is 1 to n in this increasing case? Huh?
Intersection of AK.
Not intersection. It is just,
Union of
huh? If a1 is contained in a2, then what is a1 union a2? Huh?
A2.
A2 itself, right? If it is contained in A3, then what is union of A1 union A2 union A3? Because they are already subsets of A3, it is A3 itself, right? Okay. So if you do this one, then what is union of AK? K is from 1 to n.
AK
A.
plus 1.
AN itself. Is this clear? So therefore, we can say that as n goes larger and larger, that means as n tend into infinity, what do you expect? What should be your limit? It is union of all those sets. Is that clear? Huh? It is nothing but limit of union of a k. K is from 1 to n as n tending to infinity, but this is same as union of all such sets that we can define as limit. Is that clear? Hmm?
Yes, sir. Yes,
So
sir.
if your sequence is increasing, then we can define limit as union of all those sets. Is this clear? Yes or no? Any doubt?
No, sir.
Similarly, case 2, if your sequence an is suppose decreasing, then obviously
Intersection.
what should be the limit?
Intersection.
Then you define limit
N.
and an as obviously
N.
intersection of all. Is that
AK.
clear?
K. Yes, sir.
So you take all what in that sequence, intersection of all the things, then that will be there in that as limit. Okay.
Set.
Yes. Now we will come to the general case. That means an is any general sequence, any sequence, not necessarily increasing or not necessarily decreasing. Okay.
Decrease.
So if we given a sequence, if we know something is increasing, we can talk about limit. If decreasing, we can talk about a limit, right? So take a1, we try to get left hand side and right hand side. That means just like one sequence which is increasing sequence, the other sequence is the decreasing sequence. Okay, where one is left side, the other one is right side. Okay, for example, you take a1. Can you see that? Can you give a sequence? A1 is contained in the another sequence. Suppose I can write simply A1 union, A2 union, A3 union, and so on. Right? A1 is contained in this one or not? Similarly, what should be you can give the set here is intersection of such sets. So let me write the another color here so that you can understand. Okay. So I'll put it here, A1 here. Then I'll take another color here. So I can write A1 intersection, A2 intersection. So this line is clear. That means we are trying to get some increasing sequence and decreasing sequence such a way that our given sequence is in between them. Because how you have understood lim sup and lim inf of a real sequence, similarly we are trying to define what is meant by lim sup and lim inf if it is any general sequence, right? Okay. Then how you can write about A2? If I take here A2, then this A2
U.
intersection, A3 intersection, and so on. Okay.
Yes.
Then here from A2 onwards, A2 union, A3 union, and so on.
A3.
Okay. So in general,
Yes.
you can define AN. Okay. So this AN, how you will get? Here you will get AN. So just
And
AN, then AN plus 1, and so on. Okay. And here you will get here AN, then union, AN plus 1, union, and so on. Okay. So we have found some sequence, two sequences. Now tell me which sequence is increasing, which sequence is decreasing. Huh? This is one element, this is another element, this is another element, and so on. Okay. So A1 intersection, A2 intersection, and so on. This is one element. Then another one is A2 intersection, A3 intersection, and so on. Then A3 intersection, A4 intersection, and so on. So what can you say about this sequence? Whether it is increasing or whether it is decreasing?
increasing.
Huh?
Decreasing.
De
Decreasing, sir.
decreasing or increasing?
Decreasing.
How?
Decreasing.
Huh?
Increasing, sir.
Increasing. Because the moment you add more and more sets, the intersection will become smaller and smaller, right? Because it is intersection. Are you understanding? Huh?
Yes, sir.
So this one is always contained in this because it is intersection of one more set extra. So this there may be some less elements which are common to all. Are you following? Then this one and so. So whatever you have here, this is an increasing sequence. Is that clear? Yes or no? Huh?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Then the right hand side what you have here, it is decreasing. Why it is decreasing? Hmm? Because your first time is union of all sets. Then second element is union from A to A3 onwards. Okay, so it contains, it may not contain all elements of A1. So therefore, this is that clear? Which one you want? Case?
Case first, sir.
This one. The increasing sequence.
Lim yes, sir.
AN is increasing sequence. So A1 is contained in A2, right? Okay. So we are trying to see after some time where all these elements belongs to. So therefore you usually have to talk about union of these elements. Okay. So if A1 is contained in A2, then what is A1 union A2? Huh? Is same as A2 or not? If A1 is contained in A2, then A1 union A2 is nothing but A2 only, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes.
The student which you have doubt, whether is this clear? Huh?
Yes, yes, sir.
So therefore union of up to here is same as this AN only. The last in that one, whatever last set is there, that is the union. Okay. So as n large and large, suppose A1000. What is A1000 is nothing but union of A1 up to A1000, right? So
Yes.
therefore limit AN as n tending to infinity is nothing but union of all those sets. Okay. Similarly, if AN is decreasing, then limit of that is nothing but intersection of all those sets, right? Now if you take AN is any sequence, we don't know whether it is increasing or decreasing, then we are trying to get some two sequences. One is left side and the other one is right side. That means we are trying to find two sequences such a way that our original sequence is in between them. Okay? Yes or no? So this is our original sequence. We are trying to find two sequences. One is left side, the other one is right side, and that is this sequence. Okay? You can check that this sequence is the largest sequence, okay, contained in this AIs, and this is the smallest sequence containing this AIs. Okay, so therefore you can define. So if I call it as a new sequence B, say suppose Bn, which is this one, how you can define is, so what is my B1? B1 is intersection of, this is my B1. So I'll write here, this is my B1, this is my B2, and so on. This is my Bn. Okay. So how you can write Bn? Intersection of An onwards. So I can write this as intersection of Ak. K is from n to infinity. Is Bn clear? Huh? What is B1? B1 is intersection A1, A2, A3 and so on. B2 is intersection of A2, A3 and so on. Right? That is my Bn. Are you following? This is my C1,
Yes,
this is
sir.
my C2 and so on. This is my Cn. So I am defining two new sequences, Cn, which is union of Ak. K is from n to infinity. Right?
Infinity.
Then just now what we have seen is that Bn is increasing, okay, and Cn is decreasing, right? Okay, so if Bn is increasing, then just now in case 1 what we have seen, limit of Bn is nothing but what? If a sequence is increasing, what is its limit? Sequence of sets is union of Bn. Is that clear? Is that clear?
Yes.
Huh? Similarly, if Cn is decreasing, then what is its limit?
In intersection.
Intersection of Cn, right?
Cn.
Okay. Now you can see that this intersection, what is this Bn we have written? Bn is what? Intersection of An, Ak, K greater than or equal to n. Okay. You can check that it is infimum. Infimum means what? Greatest lower bound. In your first semester, you have seen what is meant by infimum, right? So can I write this is infimum? Huh?
Yes.
This is greatest lower bound of this sequence or not? See, suppose if you take A1 and A2, two sets you take, then what is A1 intersection A2? What you can say about A1 intersection A2? It is contained in A1 as well as it is also contained in A2. So it is a lower bound or not?
A.
And it is greatest. If you take A1, A2, A3, then what is greatest lower bound? Is intersection of those three sets. Is this clear? Okay, so therefore this also you can write as, how you can write this union? It is nothing but supremum of AK. Is this clear? Yes or no?
Yes.
This
Yes.
intersection of sets is nothing but infimum, union of sets is nothing but supremum, right? Okay, so if you substitute those values here, what you will get? Actually we are trying to define something related close to limit of an. So therefore this limit n tending to infinity bn, instead of bn what you can write? This infimum of ak k greater than or equal to n. This is nothing but what? Union of bn, but that bn I can write this one, that is this. Okay, k is greater than or equal to n, you write, or n is from. Is that clear? How many of you understood this lim inf of ak we can define in this way as here? Any problem? Huh?
No,
Similarly,
sir.
how you can write this one? Limit in place of cn I can write this one. So supremum of ak
Supremum.
k greater than or equal to n and n tending to infinity. This you can write as
Intersection.
intersection of cn, but in place of cn I can write this union of ak, right? Union of ak, k is greater than or equal to n or from n to infinity. Is this clear?
Infinity.
Huh? So
Yes.
for any
Yes.
sequence,
Yes.
general sequence an, you can talk about what is meant by this lim inf of ak and lim sup of ak, right? Sometimes this we will call it as lower limit, and this time we will call it as upper limit. So this you can call it as
Upper limit.
lower limit of an, and this is nothing but upper limit of an.
An.
Okay, right? See, this is a set, whether this is a set or not. Huh? So this is a set means how any element look like here. If you take any x here, huh? So what is meant by saying that x belongs to, so take some small x. So try to understand this clearly. So what is meant by lim inf of ak? So if I take x belongs to this lim inf of ak or an, you can write an also, no problem. Okay, lim inf of an. Then what is the meaning of this? Because x is here, okay, so x is union of some sets. So this, whatever you are talking about limit, is union of this one. Are you following? This is same as this one or not? So x belongs to here means x belongs to union of those bn's, right? Okay, so that means when we say that x is in union, you can call it there exists some m, okay, such that x belongs to bm. Are you following? Yes or no? X belongs to bm. I repeat again, x belongs to this lim inf means x belongs to union of this one bn's. Therefore there is some at least one index such that x belongs to, that means there is at least one bm where x belongs to. But what is your bm? Bm is intersection of starting from m. Is this clear? This is nothing but intersection of ak, okay, what is this, from k from m to infinity, right? Okay, so that means x belongs to intersection of ak, k greater than or equal to m means x belongs to ak, okay, for all k from m, m plus 1, m plus 2 and so on. Okay, so what you should understood, that x is in this set lim inf of an, you can call it if and only if. Okay, if and only if x is there from, there is some m such that after m all sets it will be there. Are you following? Is this step clear? That is same as saying that X is in a K for all, you can call it AN for all but finitely many. So except for finitely many sets, X will be there in remaining all sets. Whether you agree? Have you understood this step? Say yes or no, otherwise I will repeat. Huh?
Repeat, sir.
Okay. So take X is in lim inf of AN. Then by definition, what is how we have defined lim inf of AN? Huh? This is nothing but union of BNs. Is this clear? So X
BN.
is here means
Yes, sir.
X is also in this union. So if X is in union, that means what? When we say that X, an element is in union, it should be at least in one set. Is that clear? Huh?
Yes, sir.
So therefore, there is at least one set, you call it M, such that X is in BM. Okay. But what is our BM? How our BM is defined? Here. How our BM is defined? It is intersection of AN plus 1, AN plus 2 and so on. Is that clear? So therefore, X belongs to AK where K is from M to infinity. And because X is there in intersection, it is there in every set in that. Yes or no? So X belongs to intersection of AK, K is from M to infinity. That is same as saying that X is there in every set here. Sorry, X is there in AK for every K in M, M plus 1, M plus 2 and so on. Okay. So there is some stage M. After that, X will be there in every set AM, AM plus 1 and so on. Okay. So we don't know whether X is there in before. But how many sets are before? Huh? So if you write here, this is set AM, then AM plus 1, AM plus 2 and so on. X is there here. X is also here, X is also here and so on. How many are remaining before? Only A1, A2 up to AM minus 1. We don't know whether X is here or not. X belongs or X does not belongs. It may happen that X may be there or X may not be there, right? But how many sets are here? There are only finitely many
Many.
sets, AIs. Is this clear? Here only finitely many sets are there where X may be there or may not be there, right? So X is there in all sets except finitely many. Is this clear? That is meaning of saying that X is in AN for all but only finitely many. It may be there or it may not be there. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
So the lim inf is a set containing elements. X will be here. So lim inf of AN is a set containing elements X which is there in almost all. That means it is there in every set except finitely many sets. Right? Now, if you do it in same way, what you will get here? So if X belongs to, so if I go with X belongs to lim sup of AN is same as saying that what? X belongs to, how lim sup of AN is defined? Is the intersection of Cn or not? So X belongs to intersection of Cn, right? N is from 1 to infinity. But this is same as saying that what? X belongs to Cn for every n, right? Okay. But what is Cn?
Yes, sir.
What is Cn? Is union of AK, K is from n onwards, n plus 1 and so on. Okay. This is true for all. But what is meaning of saying this one? X is there in union means what? X is there in union means what? It is there in one of the set. Is this clear? At least one it will be there. At least in one set it will be there, right? So there exists, you can call it some m such that x belongs to m greater than or equal to n, m greater than or equal to n, such that x belongs to am. Are you following? And n is greater than or equal to 1. So what you should understand here, that is, say suppose x, if you take n is 1, then for that n is 1, there is some m such that x is in am. Okay, n is 2, there is one set, n is 3, there is one set. That means x lies in infinitely many ans. Is this clear? X lies in infinitely many ans. We don't know, we cannot say just like above, x lies in almost all, everywhere except finitely many. So this statement and this statement, whether you understood these two, here
Yes, sir.
we can guarantee that after some stage x will be there in each and every set. Okay, of course there, that means there x is lying in infinitely many sets, but we are giving more stronger here, except finitely many, it is there in every other set. Whereas here you cannot say that x is there in every set, but x is definitely there in infinitely many sets. Are you following? Yes or no?
Yes,
Yes, sir.
sir.
Yes. Okay, so these concepts about lim sup and lim min, of course if limit if lim sup and lim min both are equal, then we say limit exists for that an and so on. Okay, fine. Now let's come back to our algebra, sigma algebra. Suppose if this is a sigma algebra, okay, then an is elements from this sigma algebra. Okay, now then this lim sup of an, how it is defined, and lim inf of an. Now forget about bn's and cn's, only in terms of lim sup, how you can write, it is easy to remember, you can write from right to left, because it is supremum. It is supremum means it is usually what, union. Is that clear? Because it is supremum, so
Yes.
you write as union of ak, k is from n to infinity, then limit means the other way, intersection. Is this clear? How you can remember easily? You are taking union, then you are taking intersection. Similarly, what is lim inf of an? Because it is infimum,
Intersection.
you take first intersection of all such sets,
Yes, sir.
then you take union.
Union of.
Okay, so these two are lim inf and lim sup. Okay, lim sup and lim inf. Now can you see that this belongs to an, the sigma field? This belongs to sigma field. This also belongs to sigma field. Why? Hmm? Why? Because ak,
Union and
they are all in sigma
N
algebra,
is
so therefore the countable union
yes,
also belongs to sigma algebra or not?
yes, sir.
So this is, we call it as a cn. So cn's belongs to a, therefore intersection of cn's also belongs to a, right? Yes or no? So just write it,
Yes,
right?
sir.
Write clearly why they are. So there you can start using, take help of our bn's and cn's. So simply write b in terms of bn and cn, then you will and use the fact that a is closed with respect to countable union and countable intersection, right? Yes or no? So your lim sup and lim inf of that one also belongs to this, right? Oh, now we'll see
sigma.
some, any problem?
No, sir.
Okay, now if we recall in our real analysis class about open sets and closed sets, what we have seen is that if you take arbitrary union of open sets
Open set is open.
is open. Okay. And what we know about second one, about closed sets, is arbitrary intersection
Inter
of closed sets,
set is closed.
okay, is closed. But we have also seen counter examples that arbitrary intersection of open sets need not be open and arbitrary union of closed
Set
sets
union
need not be closed.
need not be closed.
Okay. So we are trying to see some sigma algebra where that is also possible. That means it is also member there. Okay. For that, we will define two sets. This is called F sigma set. Okay. What is meaning of this one is nothing but arbitrary union of closed sets. Arbitrary union of closed sets we define as this F sigma set. Okay. Then we will also define what is meant by this G delta. You can call it this as G delta. This is nothing but arbitrary.
Yes, sir.
Okay, sorry. So any arbitrary union of this is arbitrary intersection. Arbitrary intersection of open sets, we will call it as a G delta set. Okay, we'll see where this also members. Okay, so if you take any arbitrary intersection of open sets is called a G delta set, and F sigma set is nothing but arbitrary union of closed sets. So this need not be a closed set and this need not be an open set, but we'll see that they are actually something called Borel set. Okay, so we'll define what is meant by a Borel set or Borel sigma algebra. That means there is some algebra, sigma algebra, where these elements are members. Okay, so that is the idea. We'll define what is meant by Borel sigma algebra. So a Borel sigma algebra is nothing but simply take C collection which are open intervals a comma b. Okay, they are real numbers, of course. A and B are real numbers. So you take collection of all open intervals of this form. Then this sigma field, smallest sigma field containing C, that how we denote sigma C. Is this clear? Okay, is called Borel sigma algebra, and usually we denote this by this one, script B. You understood what is meant by Borel sigma algebra? It is sigma algebra generated by C, and what is that C? It is collection of open intervals. Collection of open intervals. Okay. So this is in fact how you can write. It is the smallest sigma algebra containing C. But what is C? Containing all open intervals. Is this clear? Containing all open intervals. Is this definition clear? What is meant by Borel sigma algebra? This is the smallest sigma algebra or sigma algebra containing all open intervals. Okay. And what we know about any open set? What is relation between an open set and open intervals? What is relation between open set? Yes.
Every open
Open
interval
sets
is
are open.
open set.
Every any open set we can write as countable union of disjoint open intervals or not?
Yes, sir.
So we use that one here. So we can have some then any element. So any set B belongs to this B is called a Borel set. So any element of this Borel sigma algebra is called a Borel set. Okay. So you can see some examples of Borel sets. First one is every open interval a comma b, what we have written here, is a Borel set or not? Why every open interval a is a Borel set? Because this is generated by such open intervals, right? Then not only here, you can check that every open set U is also Borel. Why this every open set is Borel? Because any U can be written as union of this AI's comma BI's, I is from 1 to infinity. Is this clear? Any open set can be written as disjoint union of countable union of this open intervals, right? Is this clear or not? So therefore this actually belongs to this Borel sigma algebra. Are you following why every open set is Borel set? Because it is a,
Yes, sir.
it belongs to sigma algebra. Now can you see that therefore every closed set is also Borel set? Whether every closed set is a Borel set or not? Yes or no? By using 2, how you can prove that every closed set is a Borel set? That means it belongs to that sigma algebra or not? Borel sigma algebra or not? And what is the relation between open set and closed set? How you definition of a closed set?
Complement of open set.
Complement of open set. Very good. So we know that every open set belongs to that script B. So therefore its complement also belongs to script B or not? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, right? So therefore every closed set is actually a Borel set because it is a member. Are you following? Every closed set is a Borel set or not?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Now in particular, we know singleton set. We have proved that every singleton is closed, right? Implies every singleton A is Borel. Yes or no? Every singleton set is
Yes.
Borel. Okay. Therefore every countable set is Borel. Whether this is clear? By using the fact that every singleton is Borel, how you can prove that every countable set is a Borel set? Suppose my set A is countable. Then how you can prove that A is Borel set?
Which is union of is a countable singleton set.
Excellent, excellent. Because it is countable, you can name it. Say you can write A1, A2 and so on. So therefore A can be written as union of AIs, right?
Singleton set.
Okay, so therefore this belongs to B, hence it is Borel set. Is this clear? Right? So in particular, if you take N, Z, Q, right? They are all countable sets. So they are all Borel sets, right? Okay. What can you say about R minus Q, irrationals? What can you say about this? R minus Q. Is it Borel set or not? Just think and tell whether it is Borel set or not. Don't go whether it is countable or uncountable. Whether R minus Q is Borel set or not. What we know about sigma algebra? It is closed under
No, sir.
complementation, closed under countable union, closed under countable intersection, and so on, right? So whether R minus Q belongs to B or not, this is the question. Hmm?
Yes.
Yes, why?
Q is belong to B.
B, yes,
Q
very
is a
good.
Borel set.
Yes, so Q is a Borel set, so its complements also belongs to there, which is irrational. So this is also a Borel set. Is this clear? Yes or no? Huh? Right?
Sir.
So what can you say about R? Is R Borel set? Is R Borel?
Yes.
Yes, because it is
Q
union of these two.
irrational and rational.
Yes, so this is also, huh? Yes? Any problem? Huh? Any problem?
No, sir, no.
Okay. So you take some exercise, try to see some set which is not a Borel set, because it will be a huge collection. Okay, fine. Now you take this F sigma and G delta set. Okay, F sigma and what is F sigma? Is countable. How F sigma is defined? Is a set. Where is it? Here. F sigma is countable arbitrary union of. Sorry, instead of writing arbitrary, you write here. Let me change this. You write here as countable union. Arbitrary, but it should be countable. Okay. Here also you write as countable. Okay. So here, so F sigma is countable union of closed sets, right? So F sigma is countable union of closed sets. So therefore, F sigma is Borel or not? Hmm? Because we know here every closed set is a Borel set. So therefore, it belongs to B, and F sigma is nothing but countable union of such sets. Is this clear? Huh? Yes or no? Is this step clear?
Yes, yes.
F sigma, why it is a Borel set? Because it is countable union of closed sets. Also, G delta, which is countable intersection of open sets. So this is also Borel, right? Hmm? So if you take this sigma algebra, which is Borel sigma algebra, here what are all possible? If you take countable union, countable intersection, they all belongs to that collection itself, right? And last, which we will stop in this lecture, is by introducing what is meant by axiom of choice and what is meant by infinite Cartesian product. Okay, so what this axiom of
Sir,
choice says is that if you have collection, suppose you take this some script F, it is non-empty collection of non-empty sets. So it is non-empty. So I'll write here non-empty. It is collection non-empty collection of say some non-empty sets. That means every element there is a non-empty set. Is this clear? So suppose call it F1, some F2, F3. So this is some set, this is some set, this is some set, and so on. Okay, this is your F. Then what it says is that there exists a function, call it choice function. So there exists a choice function. Can you see where I am writing? Huh? This F, small f, which is from the script F to union of F, where F is here. So what is the meaning of this one? It says that for you will have union of this F, okay, such that this F1 is mapped to some element, okay, some element that is a member of that one, and this one is mapped to x2, which is an element of F2. This is mapped, this entire set is mapped to some element of x3, which is an F3, and so on. Okay, so is this clear what is meant by saying axiom of choice? Every set, non-empty set, we can able to map to some element of that set. Is that clear what I'm saying? This
Yes, sir.
F contains some elements, F2 also contains some elements, F3 also contains some elements, because they are all non-empty sets. So this axiom of choice says that there exists a function, so this is your small f, there exists a function f which maps every set f, capital F1, F2, F3, and so on, every set to an element of that set. Okay, yes or no? We don't know what is that x1, but definitely there exists an element which that entire set will be mapped to that element. Entire F2 will be mapped to some element of that F2. Entire element of entire set F3 will be mapped to that x. So that is called choice function. So f of every capital F belongs to F itself. F itself. This is a set that belongs to element of that set itself, right? And we'll see when we use this axiom of choice and so on after that. So if this is a finite collection, then obviously we can easily define, okay, even if it is an arbitrary collection also this is true, right? So just to understand, suppose you take some 3 elements, okay, here you have suppose some 2 elements or 4 elements, then you have some finite collection, okay, then from this you pick one element and map to that, pick one element and map to that, pick one element and map to that, and so on. Okay, but when it is infinite, at that time also it is possible. Okay, that is what it is meaning. So if I say this is like a1, a2, a3, say this is b1, b2, b3, b4, say c1, c2, simply you can send it to a1, b1, okay, and I can say suppose c2. This is possible. But if you have an infinite collection in your domain, then also it says that there exists a choice function. Is that clear? What is meant by choice function? Axiom of choice. It says that there exists always a map which sends every set to one of the element of that set, right? Yes or no? Whether you followed?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then then the next one is infinite Cartesian product. Infinite Cartesian product. To understand this, first understand what is meant by x1 cross x2. What is this set? It is all collection of tuples. So instead of writing x1 cross x2, so this is collection of all tuples what? X, comma, say suppose y, such that where x belongs to x1 and y belongs to x2, right? Is that clear? All possible pairs, first one is from x1 and the second one is from x2. Is this clear? So how you can define x1 cross x2 cross x3 and so on, that we will, you can write as product of x alpha, where alpha is any belongs to indexing set. It is not necessary that, okay, you can write here R. This, even you take any indexing set, it may be countable or uncountable. How we can define this is the following. It is collection of maps F from this indexing set to what is this one is union of those x alphas, union of x alphas. Okay, all such collection is called this infinite Cartesian product. How you try to understand this one? Suppose if your delta indexing set contains this 1 and 2, then you can check that it is same as this one. Why? In that case, how you have written this one is f maps from your indexing set delta, which is from 1 comma 2 to union of such sets. What is union of sets here? x1 union x2, right? Okay, so this is nothing but all pairs whose first coordinate is x1 and second coordinate is x2 or not? What is meaning of this one?
Yes,
It is f of 1 and f of 2, right? So f of 1 should belongs to x1. Here you have to write the other condition, the such that there is a such that each this f of 1, how you can write here is this x, you have to write here f of 1 belongs to x1, right? So f of, let me erase this. So there is a one extra condition is that f of, if you take alpha, where alpha is here, this should belongs to x alpha. Okay, that means f1 should belongs to x1 and f2 should belongs to x2. Is this clear? Okay, so it is all nothing but such pairs are not. This is same as you can write in this way. Okay, so this simply it is nothing but what the infinite Cartesian product is nothing but you can call it as an infinite sequence. Okay, so infinite Cartesian product, how you can collect? It is collection of sequences. So it is collection of sequences. Okay, we cannot write say simply sequence because that is any indexing set. So instead of writing, just understand if this is an, if your sigma is say suppose countable set, then it is nothing but collection of sequences, okay, where each coordinate belongs to, so you can call it this is f of 1, f of 2 and so on, where each particular coordinate belongs to that xn. So if you write this as this collection of sequences, f of 1, f of 2, f of 3 and so on, okay, then where each fi belongs to that set xi, okay. But if this is even uncountable, then also it is possible. So they are all collection of maps where each f alpha belongs to x alpha, okay. So you can just try to suppose if your delta is 1, 2, 3 up to finitely many, then how it is nothing but collection of all possible n tuples. If it is infinite but countable, then it is nothing but what? Collection of all possible sequences where that nth coordinate belongs to the nth set. Is that clear? But this indexing set can be an uncountable set also. Okay, so suppose if your indexing set is say finite set, then this finite Cartesian product is collection of all n tuples. And if it is an infinite but countable set, then it is collection of all sequences where nth term belongs to the nth set. Is this clear? And if it is an uncountable, still you can define in this collection of all functions defined in this way, right? Okay, so in next class what we'll see, so in next class we'll introduce what is meant by outer measure and we'll see their properties. Okay, we'll stop here and we'll see next class.